Communication is key to financial success, according to the 2024 Couples and Money Study by Fidelity. Those who communicate well are more likely to say that money is not their greatest relationship challenge, and they rate their household finances health as excellent or very good. The reality is that money talks can be pretty challenging, and that's why people avoid it. But I'm here to tell you it doesn't have to be hard. In this video, I want to provide a bit of insight and some easy steps to really be able to help you in the direction of better communication with your partner so that both of you can reach financial success. So how do you even initiate a conversation about money? Well, it can be as simple as just bringing up something like, hey, I want to do a family trip at the end of the year. What do you think? When specifically should we take it? What are the specifics we can go into, like maybe what hotel, the flights, what we're gonna do there. You know, all these little details of the trip lead to conversations about money, right? Because we need money to be able to do these kinds of things. And so it can start as simple with something like that. Now, if you're the person that maybe is the main person that takes responsibility with the household finances, then you can always bring up money as a form of an update. So let's say, hey, did you know we have like X amount in our savings? That's pretty good, right? What should we do with that extra money? Or I can communicate to my partner about maybe upcoming expenses. Like let's say, you know, hey, I'm gonna make a payment for that fence replacement. So heads up, that's coming out of our account. Little things like that, I feel that make it feel like it's just part of the conversation. I'll tell you that really from my own experience, that's kind of how I started my conversations. It would start out just something I had in mind, and I would just bring it up as everyday normal conversation. So when we had a moment together, I would just bring it up just like I would bring up something funny that my kid said. So it might be something like, hey, you know what? I think we should put this amount of money in investments or in savings. But here's the thing I want you to know. It's important to just create an environment for this kind of conversation that is casual and fun. If it's fun, you're more likely to do it. And if you're looking to have conversations with your spouse as something heavy, then that might be a reason that you are not doing it or doing it as often. And so how often really depends on how focused you are towards your goal. Maybe you guys are working towards buying your first home. And so in those cases, it is beneficial to have conversations, maybe even weekly, to see where you stand financially. And really, I want you to be able to tailor it to your specific needs, because it's something that you guys can keep up with, and it doesn't even have to be formal. Like I said, bringing it up every now and then, as long as y'all are having some conversation around money and it's not avoided, then that's great. Now, the success with money has been largely to both of us working as a team, with me and my partner, you know? And so my perspective is that when you get married, all the money that you both have is not just my money and his money, it's both of our money. And the same thing applies to debt. It's not his debt and my debt, it's our debt. And so we become a team and everything is ours together. And how do we work on growing our money together, and how do we work towards paying off debt together? That is the conversation that we're having. I really feel like it has to be a collaborative effort when you're going about your financial goals. Now, I've given you some examples of mainly some, short-term goals to talk about, but also consider some of those long-term financial goals. So this can be, for example, retirement. And I know it's just so far off, maybe for you if you're in your 20s and 30s, but I think it's important to be a part of that conversation because it does take consistent effort to be saving towards that. And the earlier you're able to start that conversation, I think really the better, better chance you have to reaching those retirement goals. And the result of working together is just being able to have more transparency. You know where you're at with your money instead of, just working towards your goal alone. So these can be goals that y'all are both interested in achieving, right? But then what about those individual goals that you have? So let me tell you, when I first got married, I guess my focus was just me and my goals and things like that. But I had to have a different perspective once we got married, because now it's like not just my goals, but our goals that we're both working together. And also ask your partner what his or her individual goals are. That's one of the things that I didn't realize, that I didn't ask my partner right away to see what his specific goals were. It was interesting to have that conversation, what their goals are, because I want to be able to help my partner reach his goals too. As you start having this conversation of goals that y'all are working jointly towards, your own goals, his own goals, then the other thing that might come up is like, how do we prioritize these goals? So having that conversation too, like, hey, I want to focus on this specific goal, and then we can work towards this goal and then this goal. As you're working towards your goals, I really like the idea of having a joint account, and maybe out of that one, do all your day-to-day spending, figuring out how much you're gonna put towards your savings from there, how to allocate to the savings and things like that. But if you're more comfortable with having each having your individual accounts, I mean, that's fine too, but you gotta be in constant communication of what the other person is doing. But just because you have joint accounts doesn't mean you can't have also individual accounts. I kind of like the idea of each person having their individual account for things like, play money. Maybe one of you has a hobby and you don't want to be asking the other person permission for like something that you want to get that pertains to for your hobby, And so maybe having an individual account that y'all can contribute some money for one another, and then you could just do whatever you want to do with that money in that specific account. But then in the joint account, you are using that to be on the same page with how you guys are allocating your money and having a better idea of where it's being spent and things like that. As you're working towards this, you might notice that there'll be one person that will take the lead, and that's fine. But always be making sure that you are communicating to your other partner with any updates or any important information that they should know about as you're reviewing your finances every week or every month. Just make sure that they're also on top of that with what, give them kind of the highlights of some things so they're aware about what's going on. And there you have it. Money conversations doesn't have to be hard. And maybe if we start to think about it in that sense, that it doesn't need to be hard, and it's such an important part of your relationship to be transparent with each other, then I think the money conversations will flow much easier. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I also offer money clarity session for couples that helps them really get a bit more organized on where they are with their money and how together they can start reaching their financial goals.